Hello everyone and welcome back to Jacqs Scraps. Thanks for joining me today. I have a Country Craft Creations design team project to share with you, and I'll be using the ohh-la-la-patisserie paper collection. I use the 8x8 as well as 12x12 collection. So here is what I have created. This is a hybrid recipe memory box or cube. I say cube because it has the same dimensions for the width and height as it does the depth. So it is 4.5 inches tall, wide, and deep. On the front of the box, I added the La Patisserie little storefront here. I am just loving this image. It's so adorable. And the way that I added it, as if the gingham was the sidewalk and the bike is there on top of it. Super cute. The sides are plain. And then on the back side, I added one of the cut aparts here and made a little pocket out of it, and then cut down one of the tags that are included in the collection and added that there. You could actually put to and from here. You could write a little note, sign your name, even put the date that you created this. And then on the front, I used the recipe element from the paper collection, but then I added a little sticker here that said memories. So it says recipe memories, and I'm loving that. It's specifically what I wanted for this project. So I mounted that on a scallop oval that I cut with my Cricut maker. I added some burlap flowers, and I picked these up from Hobby Lobby. So now let's go inside. One unique item about this little box is that it opens up on a hinge. So the lid actually stays on the box. You could actually set your recipe in the top of this so that you could see it. But it's not the main purpose of it. I really just love this box design that I saw from another designer, and so I took it and I modified the size and made it larger. So everything in the box I created to be different sizes, and they start at 4 3/8 inches wide, and then they go to 4 1/8 or 4 1/4 or 4 inches. I just really wanted a diversity of items in the box as well as sizes. So this is to house your recipes. This could be for a special event. You could put all your recipes in here, and then you could add your photos of the food that you made, the dinner, the people that were there, and then it just becomes one complete recipe memory with photos and documentation of what you actually cooked. So that's the basis for this little project. Inside, I have 6 little file folders that alternate from side to side. And then I have in between that what I'm calling little specialty items, and those are items that can house photos as well as recipes. Now I do have a tutorial following the reveal of the project, and to help those that don't have a Cricut maker, I did make some templates for you for the file folders, and then I show you how I created the items inside. But for now, let's go inside and look at all of the items. So I'm going to pull them out one by one. So the tallest items in the box are the file folders, and these measure 4 3/8 inches wide by 4.5 inches tall, including the tab. So on our first little file folder here, I cut out an image from the 12x12 and added it here to make a little pocket, and included one of the little tags. Added some lemon ribbon that I had in my stash. It went perfect with this. On the inside, all of the file folders are basically set up the same, but the innards and outers are different. So we have a little pocket here in the front, and this one has a little journal card, T for 2. Again, I used the lemon ribbon there to use as like a pull tab if you wanted. So that just slides down in there. Now I did not do any stenciling or anything to the inside of the file folder. I really kind of liked that craft look with this particular collection. I thought it went really well, so I decided not to do that. I did ink all of the file folders with vintage photo, and then I used some other distressed inks on some of the items included in the box. So here, what I've done on the back side is I've included a recipe that was actually in the paper collection. I've added those by using photo corners, and I'm just loving that you can take this and pull it out. You could add your own recipe on the back side of this. You could add a photo of this recipe if you made it, if this is a real recipe. I think it is. Or you could even do some secretive journaling here. How fun would that be? There's just so many ways that you could use this to document food and family and friends. Just a great way to house that. On the back side, I just added some decorative paper here from another paper collection, and this is a great area to add a photo. So the main paper collection was the ohh-la-la-patisserie, but I did use several other paper collections that I had in my stash just as kind of accent pieces. So I think I'll leave these out so I know where I'm at in the showing of the box. So here is our next specialty item. This is a single dimensional pocket here in the front. I added this "Life is what you bake it" with the cute little flag here on the front. Here is one of the tags from the collection, again using that lemon ribbon. Inside, I made this little booklet, added the La Patisserie on the front here, and then I even cut out some of the clouds to be at the top. Thought that was cute. And then this could be for journaling, adding memorabilia, photos, recipes, whatever you want it to be. And then I included one of the recipe cards from the actual paper collection. Beautiful, beautiful. And then here is the back of the dimensional pocket. And the back side of that, a great place to do some journaling or add a photo there as well. Here is our next folder. So if you notice, what I've done is alternated. I have a file folder, I have a specialty item, I have a file folder, then a specialty item, and that kind of carries throughout the whole box. For this recipe card, I just added one of the elements here from the cut-aparts, and I cut down a tag and I just used the top of it. I just love these short little tags. Added some little ribbon there on the top, just have a nice little tuck spot there. When you open this up, we have another pocket here. Added some ribbon there and one of the journaling cards from the collection. I added the angel biscuit recipe here, again with photo corners, and you're going to see the same thing throughout. And then here is some paper, and this decorative paper is from another collection. Behind that, we have this cute little policy envelope. And I did use the Graphic 45 policy and decorative die set that I picked up from Country Craft Creations. So I added a little sentiment that says "Ooh la la" with the little flag here. This paper is from a different collection. Like I said, I used that to kind of supplement the ohh-la-la-patisserie. And then I added this cute little journaling card on the inside. I actually had some paper collections with the name "Ooh La La," and I thought they went perfect with this collection, so that's why I mixed it up. So behind the policy envelope, I actually included this recipe card as well. I made this its own card, and then on the back I added some white cardstock for a photo or journaling. You could even add a newspaper recipe if you found one, but I just thought that would be cute to include there. And then our next recipe file folder here, I actually used a little oval here that says recipe. I added this little cut apart piece. Ooh la la. I love all the little macaroons. I've never eaten a macaroon in my life, but I just think they're adorable. On the inside, this paper is from a different collection, but I included the tag from the ohh-la-la-patisserie, added a scone as the actual, where you would put a hole for the tag there. I think that's cute. And then I put the lemon on the back side. Love it. And then up top, we have another recipe. And then on the back, this is from a different paper collection. Behind that, we have this cute little diagonal pocket. I just decorated it with elements from the collection, included this recipe tag. I think that's so adorable. And there's some more of the paper, really pretty. On the back of that, I just added a white cardstock for photos, journaling, whatever your heart desires. Here is our next file folder. I did leave this open if you wanted to tuck something down in there if you wanted to. When you open this up, again, we have another pocket. I fussy cut out these elements from the paper and added them there on the wheat paper. Added this butterfly ribbon. I don't know, I just thought that gold went really well with this one. And then I added this little journaling card from another collection that says, "Let's eat croissants and pretend we're in Paris." I love that. Added some wheat ribbon from the Dollar Tree. And here is our French bread recipe. And the back side of that, this is from another collection as well. Just has all different kinds of food words on there. Behind that, I included another one of these recipe cards, as well as this little pull-out booklet. Now, this paper here is from a different collection, but these elements, the plaid is from ohh-la-la-patisserie, the little lemon, and I used the little macaroons as the ends of the string. I put the blue and the green on there. So cute. So when we open this up, this folds out and pulls out. So I left a spot here for a photo. This is from a different paper collection there, but on the back side, this is from the main collection. And then the pink plaid is from Country Craft Creations paper as well. I love the plaids in this collection. And then on the back side, I added some white cardstock for a photo and added another macaroon. Here's our next recipe file folder. We have half of a tag here. I loved making these smaller. This is a cut apart from the element. I had a circle scallop punch that I punched out and then added the circle element to it. I just love that. I love the paper here with all the words on it. On the inside here, we have more of that beautiful paper, and I included a journal card from another collection, and it had macaroons on it, which I thought went really well with that. And it says, "Yum." So that just slips down in there. And then I added this recipe card, again with photo corners. And then on the back side, we have the macaroon paper from another collection. Behind that, you'll find another little booklet. This one is all pink and strawberry. I really, really like how this turned out. For the ends of the strings, I cut out little bitty half circles of strawberry paper that I had. This is from a different collection, but I thought it went so well with this paper. Here's that gorgeous, gorgeous image. So the booklet has a blank area for photos, memorabilia, recipes that you want to add, and then the opposite side has recipe cards. These are held in by photo cards, but when you lift those out, I have added some cardstock from a different collection, and I just thought it went really well again with this collection. Just gorgeous. So I just love how this is a little bit versatile for it to be made into whatever you need it to be. So we have another blank, we have a recipe that pulls out, and then blank and recipe. On the back side of that, I added some of the pink and white gingham. Just love that. And here is our last file folder. On the front, I added a cut apart element here, as well as a little baby tag that I created. On the inside, again, we have our pocket. I did use a decorative edge punch on some of the pockets. And then here is a cut apart that I added from a different collection. I had this little coffee ribbon, so I just added it there. Just thought that was cute. Coffee is the best idea. I like that, but I don't drink coffee. And then we have another recipe in the back. again held with photo corners. And this paper is from a different collection as well, but I thought it went really well with these elements on the front. And then here is the last item in our little cube here. Now, when you take out the last item, this will tip over. So I just wanted to tell you that it's okay. But when you have all of your items in there, it sits up with no problem. So it doesn't fall over on you. Just wanted to point that out. So here is the last item. This is an accordion little booklet. I hate to untie my bow because I'm terrible at making them. But here we go. On the front here, I added a little element that I actually cut down with a scallop punch and a delicious treat little banner here. When we open this up, and as you can see, it's an accordion. What I've done, let me move this out of the way. I'll show you this many at this time. So it's made out of two 12 by 12 pieces that I attached together. So on the first 12 by 12, let's say this one, I created two smaller photo areas and one larger area. I then used the Dress My Craft slotted punch so that you could tuck something underneath there if you wanted it to get it to hold in place. So I did that on the large pieces, but on the small, I left them without the slots. So if you wanted to journal or just add a recipe here or even a photo, whatever, that there was some variety in this. Now on the back, I did leave it with just the beautiful decorative paper, but a photo or recipe could definitely be added to the back side. I didn't want to make this too bulky before someone actually started using it. So I left it blank there. But I'm liking how that turned out. And then we just tie a bow, which I'll do offline because I'm not good at it. Okay, so that is my hybrid recipe memory box. I had a lot of fun creating this, and I just think it's an adorable idea. The way that it's just packaged in this nice little cube makes it such a nice gift, such a good gift feeling to give to someone, that it has all the little memories, food, and documenting people. So I thank you for joining me for this project reveal, and for those that can stay for the tutorial, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is create the box. And to do that, you're going to need 3 different pattern papers. At least that's what I'm doing. You could option out some pattern paper for some solids, but this is how I'll be making it today. So our first sheet, and in fact, you're going to need 2 decorative pieces that measure 11 by 10 1/4. You're also going to need 1 decorative strip that measures 12 by 3 1/4. And then you're going to need an extra piece that we're going to add these 2 together. And this will measure 2 by 3 1/4. So these are the 3 pieces that you'll need to create the box. We're going to start by doing all of our scoring. So with one of your decorative sheets, with the 11-inch side across the top, you're going to score at 3 1/4. Next, you're going to score at 7 3/4 inches. Now we're going to rotate once to the left. We're going to score with the 10 1/4 inches across the top at 1 1/4, 4 1/2, and 9. We're going to take our right hand side of the paper and rotate and have that be at the top. We're going to score at 2 all the way down to the first score line, and at 9 to the first score line. Now I know that you can't really see the score lines on this. Even if I bring it up close, it's kind of hard to see. So here is a diagram of what we just scored. These purple lines are where we're going to cut. And then, you know, these squiggly lines are areas that we're going to cut out. Okay, so that's where we're headed. So you repeat the same score lines onto your second piece. Now we're going to take the right side of our paper. We're going to flip this around to where it's at the top. And you're going to score at 2 inches. And you're only going to go down to the first score line going across. So score at 2, down to the first score line. And that's actually at 1 1/4. After you score at 2, then score at 9. Again, down to the first score line. So let's bring out our strip. Now I'm not sure if I'm going to put the little goodies on the outside or if I'm going to put the text on the outside. So I'll just score this way, and I can always come back and score the other way if I need to. With the 12 inches across the top, you're going to score at 4 1/2 and 9. We're going to take our little cutoff piece and we're going to score with the 2 inches across the top at 1/2 inch. And that's all the scoring. Let's start with our little strip here, since this is the easiest. We're going to just do a slight angle cut where our 1/2 inch score line is, just right up to it on both sides. We're going to add adhesive to the 1/2 inch area, and then we're going to adhere these two pieces together. Just line them up so that they're, you know, smooth on each end, that you've got it squared. And then burnish. And while we're here, we can go ahead and burnish the other 2 score lines. So now you can ink this up, and you only really need to do the top. You're not going to see the bottom or the ends, okay? Now that we have everything burnished, what we're going to do is make our cut marks. We're going to start with our paper that has the 4 score lines at the top. And we made the last 2 score lines at the 2 and the 9 mark. So that's what's up at the top. So we're going to turn this around so we can cut up on all of these score lines here. And we're going to cut up to the first score line going across on all of them, okay? So just cut straight up. I think I'm going to use these scissors. Just cut straight up to the first score line. It's really hard to see the score lines on this plaid, or gingham, I should say. Okay, now that we have those cut, we're going to turn it to the right. We're going to cut out this rectangle here on the corner. So cut up on the score line up to our cut mark there. Now we're going to come down to the next 2 score lines. We're going to cut straight up to the first score line, going across. We're going to rotate to the right. We're going to cut out this little block here. So cut up on the score line to the first score line going across, like that. Now we're going to come over to our next score line. We're going to cut up to the first score line, rotate to the right. We're going to cut out this little block here like we did on the other side. So cut up on the score line to the first cut line. Now we're going to come down to our next 2 score lines, and we're going to cut up to the first score line going across. Down here, we're going to actually cut that little block out. Now, if we bring in our little template here, that's what we look like right now. We have our 2 little tabbies, and we have these cut. And then these areas are cut out. Now what we're going to do is cut out these sections here. So if we look at our diagram, now I've turned it to where the 3 pieces are at the bottom. You can use a pencil and ruler, or you can do it freehand. But we're going to go from this point on the outside of our tab, right here, all the way up to this point, and we're going to cut at a diagonal. So if I put my pencil here, we're going to cut straight up on both sides. And now if we look at our template with our piece, we match up. Okay, now we need to do 2 more cuts before we can glue the box together. These areas that are more like a triangle, they're going to come up and over the block here. So take this piece, kind of swing it up, and have these edges meet. Once you have it there, hold it in place. You can take your pencil and you can make a little pencil mark so you know where to cut, or you could wait till you glue it together and then cut it. But I'm going to do this now. So where our pencil line is, we're going to cut at a diagonal up to that corner right here. Okay? Now, if you don't cut enough off, once you glue it down, you could trim it there as well. Okay, now let's do the other side. We're going to take our little triangle piece, fold it up to and square off these 2 pieces. Take our pencil, and now we can cut this off. So where my line is, I'm going to cut straight over to the corner. Now, if you want, you can do some inking. I'm using Festive Berries. I thought this matched pretty good. It's kind of like a red, pinky color. And now we're going to put this together. So let's go back to the areas we were just working with, that little triangle type piece and the little block. And we're going to glue these 2 down. So you're going to put glue on the outside of this. Now, I think wet glue would be a lot quicker, but you could certainly use adhesive tape if that is your preference. Take your piece, fold it up over, again, squaring everything off. And I see I need to do a little bit more trimming, but that's okay. And then I'm going to burnish this down real good. And I'm going to do my trimming now. You see, just a little bit. Now let's do the other side. Again, we're going to add adhesive to the back of that piece. Take our like triangle piece, fold that up and over, square it off, and then burnish that down. Now for our little tabbies here, you may want to do an angle cut to the corner on the inside, just for a more clean look. And then we're going to add glue to the back of these little tabs, and we're going to fold this piece up to it, and that creates the front of our box. Okay. Now this box was inspired by another designer, but I have resized it. Okay, so bring those up, square them off. Very nice. And then burnish that. I keep doing like this because it's easier with it on the table. Fabulous. Okay. Now we need to do the same thing to our second piece. So at this point, you should have two boxes that look the same. What you need to do is decide which one is the top, which one is the bottom. I'm using the plaid for the bottom, and I'm going to use the one with the flowers to be the top. So on the back side here, we have this flap. What we're going to do and we're only doing this on the top piece, so whichever one you want on the top, because these two pieces are going to come together like this to create the full box, right? Right now we have a half box. So if this is your top, you want to glue down this back tab to the inside. So that's what I'm doing now. So fold that down and burnish it for the top piece only. So now the top piece looks like that. Our bottom one still has that flap. Now, when you put this together, and I see you didn't actually put my paper in the right direction, but that's okay. I'm going to put something over it. You're going to put the longer end to the front. So the short end here is the front of the bottom box. The long side here is the front of the top box. So we're going to add adhesive to the back side of the flap. Then we're going to add it to the inside of the short end. So like this. I know that's kind of hard to see, but that's what we're going to do. And you want to make sure you get it lined up really good. Like right to the score line if possible. But, you know, don't go over. Okay, so that, oh, I got ink all over me. Okay, so that's what we're doing. Add adhesive to the back side of that little flap. Take the small side of the top, bring these together because these two pieces are going to adhere together. So you want to bring them as close to the score line as possible. Hopefully that'll stick. Maybe stick your hand down in there to make sure. And then you can kind of fold over on it and burnish it down. I did that last time and it kind of moved it. Okay, yeah, I'm doing much better this time. Okay, go ahead and burnish that down. Oh, you know what? I was going to change that and I totally forgot. Oh well. I was going to actually use some craft text to adhere these two pieces together so that with the opening and closing it wouldn't wear this out, but I forgot. So if you would like to do that, or you could use Tyvek as well as an additional reinforcement, you could put that here. Now, I really don't think you're going to need it because how many times have we opened our mini albums and they've never ripped or anything? So I think this will be fine. But that was an idea that I had. So there's our box all together. Now it is, you know, not very solid. And that's where this piece comes in. So this comes down into the box. It sets down inside of it. And it creates another wall, and it actually reinforces the bottom of the box. Oh, that's cute with the little mittens and the muffins. Let's see what this side looks like. The only downside of creating a box this big is we had to overlap this, so you do get that look, which you could probably, oh, you really can't tell that much. Actually, I think I like the other side better. So the overlap will be on the inside. And if you wanted to, you could put, you know, something there to disguise it a little bit more, but I don't think you're gonna need to. You know, we're gonna fill it with stuff. Now I'm looking at this. Let's see. Please test this before you glue it down to make sure it all fits in there nice and neat. If it needs any trimming, I think I need to trim off just a little bit on that side. Just a little sliver. So definitely test yours out. I mean, it's so minute. Much better. It's amazing what a sliver will do. Remove that now that you've tested it, and you're going to add adhesive to the three sides. So all over here, all over the front. It's a shame we're covering that pretty flower. And then all over here on the side, okay? And then just put your piece back down in there and burnish it really good. Make sure it fits into the corners really nicely. Make sure the back sides are sitting on the bottom. Oh, I should have probably trimmed that one too. Yeah, that fits really nicely there. I wonder what happened. It was fitting good before. Let's try this again. Okay, and burnish. So now our box is done, and when you close the lid, it sits on there much tighter and nice and squared. I love it. I love the mixture of the plaid with the floral. Super pretty. And again, I'm really not worried too much about the direction of the pieces. We're going to be decorating it. I'm going to be cutting this out and putting that on the front. I'm going to add another piece up here to the top. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. Cute. So I'm going to wait to do the decorating of the outside until after we get all of our pieces for the inside in our box. Now, trust me, once you start loading up the box, I know it tips over now, but once you start putting things in there, it sits up. So you're good to go. Another thing, if you wanted to, I don't know that I'm going to do it, but you could add a string here to the sides so that your lid doesn't go all the way back. But I kind of like that it flips over all the way, so it's purely up to you. And also, if you don't like the look of the top of your lid, you could add more decorative paper to that. It would also reinforce, you know, the top of your box a little bit more as well. I might do that for this piece here just to help reinforce it. We'll see. So that's how to create the little cube flip box. I love it. Super cute. Now that we have our box created, we're going to start making the items that's going to go on the inside. Now, because I want this to be a combination memory keeper of just everyday or special event memories, and also the food that goes along with those memories in the form of recipes, photos of food, things like that, I thought it would be cute to have little file folders to go inside. So what I've done is created a Cricut file for this, as well as a template. So here's the template that will be in the description box below. This is the size of the file folder. So I'm not sure how many I'm going to have right now. I cut out 6 of these, and I've used 4 so far that I'm going to share with you. But the template is there. You'll be able to create as many as you'd like, and I'll show you what I'm doing with those in a moment. And then in addition to this, of course, I thought about decorating it. Then I've also created a template that will be the matting pieces. So this will be the front, and this will be the back, and that will be for the tab on the right hand side. Now when you go to work with the tab on the left hand side, all you do is take the template and flip it around and then cut out your piece, and then you'll be able to have the front and back for that one as well. Now for those that have a Cricut, I do have a Cricut Design Space file for you. It's on the template itself, as well as it'll be linked down below for you. And it will have these 2 templates, as well as the file for the little label that goes on each of the file folders. For those that don't have the Cricut, this measures 1 1/4 by 1/4 of an inch. So you could just cut little strips to put on there. And I also created little pockets, but I'll give you those measurements as we go along creating some of these file folders. So let's go ahead and do that now. So I have my little stack here of some of the items that I've made ahead of time, and I thought I would just run through the items that I have. And then I'm going to glue everything offline. And the way that I'm going to start adding items into the box is with the left hand little tab. And then I'm going to alternate it left, right, okay? So for the first one, I'm using this gingham piece that will go here. Now, I don't know if you need the measurements of these pieces because I am giving you a template. As a little bit of decor for the front, I cut this image out of the 12 by 12 sheet because I'm using both 12 by 12 and 8 by 8 to create this project. This piece measures 4 3/8 by, actually it's really just the width of the lemon, this image here. So that is going to go down here and make a little pocket. I might have to trim that more so that it's the same width as this piece, because I pre-cut that before I did the front. So just so that you know, that's where that's going. On the inside, what I've done is use some photo corners that I had in my stash, and then I'm taking the recipes from the collection, I'm cutting them out, and these are 4 by 4. I've toyed around with doing some stenciling here, but I'm just not sure if I'm going to do that yet. I really don't mind the craft. I kind of like how that looks overall with the box and everything. So I don't know if I'm going to do that, but that is an option that you could do. So I've just added my little recipe there. So in addition to using ohh-la-la-patisserie paper collection, I'm also using some other paper collections that I have in my stash from other brands, not just Country Craft Creations, because I thought they went really well with this collection. So I'm really using those for accent pieces. So the main collection is ohh-la-la-patisserie. So on the inside here, I wanted to create a little pocket, and this is one of the decorative pieces that I had already pre-cut. So I'm going to be cutting this down and putting it in here as a little side pocket. So I'll cut that down, and it will be 4 3/8 inches wide. And I'm not sure if I'm going to use this width or not, but I'll tell you what that is right now. It's 2 1/4. I might go lower. I don't know. That might be good. And again, here I like seeing the craft cardstock. I forgot to mention that the craft cardstock that I'm using, I picked up from Country Craft Creations. I really like it. It's a nice light craft. You don't often see it that light. And then on the inside, what I'm going to do is add this little journaling card, again, that I had in my stash, and that will go in here. And of course, the journaling card is 2 7/8 by 4. I probably just cut it down from 3 by 4. So that'll be there. And then when we close this and go to the back side, I'm going to use this image. Again, is from another collection, but that will go here. So that's how it will look. On the front here, I do have this tag from the ohh-la-la-patisserie collection, and I'll be putting that in here. I might cut this down so that it actually fits in there really well, but that's how my first one will go. For my second file folder, I'm using the bread and wheat design. I really like that with all the pastries on there. So that'll be on the front. When we open this up, I cut out a pocket piece, and this is 4 3/8 by 2 3/8. Again, I may make this a decorative edge to match the decorative edge here or something similar. I'm just not sure yet, but I'm just giving you the sizes that I'm starting with, because that's a nice size right there. And then I had this Let's Eat Croissants and Pretend We're in Paris. I think this is so cute to go with the collection. And that will go in here. This is from a different collection. So that will be there. I have my French bread recipe. And then on the back side, I'll be using this piece from another collection as well. I think this is going to be a great place for a photo. And I think that you could do that on the inside as well. You could tuck it into the pocket. You could even take the recipe card out and put a photo there if you wanted to. That's just the direction I'm going. So here is another file folder that I'm using. I have all my pieces cut. I thought maybe we would do this one together. So I've inked everything. I've used vintage photo. I've also used peacock feathers and festive berries. It all depends on what I was using. But let's start with the front. So here is my front piece. This gives about 1/8 of an inch border. If you want a larger border, you're just going to have to resize everything. Now I may put a front pocket on there, but right now I didn't do that. So that's the front. On the inside, I'm using this paper. And again, I'm going to put that there. Oh, I should decide if I'm doing a decorative edge. I am. I'm going to use this Martha Stewart punch. And if you notice, I'm putting this where the direction is facing correct to me, rather than, you know, it being upside down. And even when you're looking at it like that, it looks good. So I'll probably put a tag in there later. I just don't have that picked out yet. Now here are some photo corners that I've been using. I've been cutting down the extra white on there because I didn't want that to be seen. So I've just been cutting that down. Now you can make your own photo corners if you don't have any, or you could do something else if you don't want to use photo corners. So I'm just showing you how I've been putting these together. I've been adding these and then sticking it down. That's the inside, and then on the back side, I have this image, and this is from a different collection. And I'm not putting a pocket again on the back because that's mainly what I figured would be a photo area. This is a cut apart from the paper collection, and then I used the blue gingham on the back, and so this was just what was left, and I'm just going to use that as a little tuck. I think that's super cute. So that's one file folder done together. So that's basically how I'm doing all of these. For my next one, I'm using the text on the front. When you open this up, I'm using this recipe that I'll put there. Now this was a scrap, and so what I'm going to do is back that on this blue cardstock to make my side pocket. I think that'll be cute too. And I don't know if I'm going to do the decorative edge because I don't want to lose the cookies. So we'll do that there. And then on the back side, I'm using macaroons that I had in another paper collection to go on the back side. On the inside, the blue piece measures 4 3/8 by 2, and then if you want to do it exact, this piece measures 4 1/8 by 2. And I'm just going to layer them on there. It just gives an 1/8 of an inch on each end to make my pocket. Okay, so that's all the file folders that I have done right now. And what I'm going to do is show you some other items that I'm creating to go in there. And these are for photos, but you could also use them for recipes. For this one, it's a straight up pocket. You're going to need one piece that measures 4 1/8 by 4 3/8. And then you'll need one piece that measures 5 1/8 by 2. You're going to take this piece and score it 1/2 inch on 3 sides. So if you rotate it to the right, 1/2 inch, and then to the right again at 1/2 inch. We're going to cut out the sides here, the little boxes, these little boxes. And we'll be putting that there, but right now I want to put down this piece. This is going to be my background piece, and this measures 3 7/8 by 4. And this may have been a scrap as well because you notice it doesn't go all the way down to the bottom, but it's okay because our little pocket is going to cover it. And then put that down on the bottom. Now because we have hinges, this will be a dimensional pocket, so you'll be able to add more to it. So just make sure everything's lined up on the bottom and the sides. On the front, I'm using the blue gingham, and this measures 3 7/8 by 1 1/4. And this is from the cut-aparts. Just going to add that here at the top. Go all the way up to the top of the pocket. This is a decorative piece. And then I have this sentiment, life is what you bake it. I'm going to put that across. And on the back side, I have this piece, and it measures 3 7/8 by 4 1/8. This is from a different paper collection. So don't forget that you can mash up your paper collections. It's a great way to get use out of them. And there's our little pocket again. I'm gonna need to put more than one item in there. Again, you could put a photo on the back. You could add more in here, especially since it's a dimensional pocket. Next, we're creating a little like photo recipe booklet. I'll give you all the measurements. This is the base piece, and it measures 6 by 4 1/4. You want to score at 4 1/4 and 4 3/8. Let's turn this over, and then we have the little flap on the left-hand side. I'm adding my decorative paper to the back of that, and this is the pink gingham measuring 4 by 4. So that will go here. For the little flap here, I'm using this strawberry paper from a different collection, and this measures 4 by 1 3/8. Okay, now that this side is done, let's flip this over. What we're also going to need to create this is 3 pieces of cardstock, and these measure 4 3/4 by 4 1/4. And we're going to score each of those on one end. So the 4 3/4 will go across the top, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch. So do that to all 3 pieces. Okay, now you can ink the sides, but don't ink the side that we folded over and created a hinge. So as you can see, I didn't ink this side, but I've inked all my other sides. And I did the front and back the same. Now we bring our base piece out. We have our hinge folded over, add adhesive to the outside of the hinge, and then we're going to put these 2 pieces together. So the hinge goes down onto the base piece. Make sure the ends are flat and it lines up on the sides as well. Everything looks good, and then go ahead and burnish. Now the reason we don't ink is so that it kind of blends in with the back piece. If you ink this, then it gives a harsh line there. We take our second page, we add adhesive to the hinge, and we add that to the top of this page. Right here at the end, doing the same thing we just did. Lining up the ends and the sides. You just want to make sure it's all flat, all lining up. Then we're going to repeat that same process with our third page. So what we have is our 3 pages. And then I do ink the end here on the top, just so that it mirrors the rest. To decorate the front, you're going to need a 4 by 4 piece of decorative paper. Okay, so when we go into the pages, you're going to need 3 pieces of solid cardstock, and these will measure 4 by 4 as well. We're going to put one here. We're going to use the recipe cards in the 8 by 8 collection, and these are 4 by 4 as well. We're going to add these on the opposite side, and I'm going to use my photo corners again here and down here to add those to the inside. And then we're going to just repeat that. We have a solid, a recipe, solid, and then a recipe card, which I don't know what I did with it, but it's here somewhere. Okay, so that will be there. So that's how the booklet's going to go together. I'm going to glue these offline so that I don't have to waste your time gluing. So now let's move to the closure. We're going to do a brad closure. So I have one little brad. I have some crochet thread here. It's probably about 24 inches or so, something like that, just to get started. And then I have my decorative piece that will go on the inside. It matches the measurements of the top piece, which is 4 by 1 3/8. And then I have a round circle. I just cut this out using my 3/4 inch punch, and then punched a 1/8 inch hole in the center with my hole punch. And what I've done is I've found the center here, and I'm just going to punch that out with my 1/8 inch hole. That doesn't look like center, does it? So I think it'll come in some. So you put your brad through your circle, and then you add that into your hole that you just punched. Then we can take our string and tie that around. I do like a double knot or double loop. I don't know what they call that. So you bring it over once and under, and then you bring it over and under again, and then pull it tight. Okay, and just cut off the end, the extra there. Now before I add my decorative piece, I like to use tape adhesive over the brad just to kind of keep it in place. And then add my decorative piece on top. And then to close it, you could go 2 ways. You could wrap it around this way and then loop it, or you could go the long way like this and bring it down and loop it around. So whichever way you like. This way you can see the pretty paper. So I'm going to finish this offline, like I mentioned, adding in my recipe and solid cards, but that's our cute little memory recipe booklet. Another item that I'm adding is a policy envelope, and I used the Graphic 45 die to create this, and it's from the Policy and Decorative Dies set. I used some music paper from a different collection that I had, added some brads, and then inside, again, I used a journaling card from another paper collection. But I just think this goes really well with the ohh-la-la-patisserie. 2 more items that I was going to create. I just don't have all the decorative paper cut out yet, but I did want to go ahead and give you the measurements and then I can add the decorative paper measurements to the screen. So you'll need one piece of cardstock that measures 8 3/4 by 4 1/8. And if you'll notice, I'm alternating the sizes of things just to give it some interest. And what you're going to do is score that down the center at 4 3/8. What we're going to create out of this is a diagonal pocket. So now we're going to take one side, we're going to cut from the outside lower right hand corner all the way over to the center, okay, to create our diagonal. So I'm just going to line those up. Okay, so there's that one. And what you do for this is then just add glue along the inside of the diagonal piece, just on this one side. And that will be glued down and it will make a nice little tuck spot. You could add a recipe card in there, a blank one or one that's already written out. You could add photo mats in here, all kinds of stuff. So that'll be a nice little diagonal pocket. And on the back, you could add a photo or recipe as well. Okay, I'm just coming back on to give you the measurements for the diagonal pocket. I used a 4 by 4 decorative piece for the back of the pocket. And then on the front, I started with a 4 by 4 and then I cut that diagonal the same way that I did the cardstock. And that piece then went on the front. I added some decorative elements. I did add some solid cardstock in the back for a photo, and this is 4 by 4 as well. Yeah. I cut out one of the little tag that had the recipe on it. I thought was cute. I stapled on some lace trim, and then that's going to go into the bucket. Now, I thought I recorded how I created this next piece, but apparently I didn't, or I lost the footage, I'm not sure. So let me just run through how I created this one. I started out with my cardstock. I cut this down to 7 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then I scored that at 3 1/4. And then I folded that over, the short end on top. So you'll see that is 3 1/4 on the top. And then what I did was create another piece as a pull-out. So this might look like the little booklet that we did, but it's a little different. This opens up and pulls out. So for this piece, you're going to need a base piece that measures 5 5/8 by 3 1/2. My top white cardstock for a photo measures 3 7/8 by 3 1/4. The decorative paper for the flap measures 3 1/4 by 1 1/4. So that will be the same for the inside as well as the outside. And the back piece, decorative piece, measures 3 7/8 by 3 1/4. And that's probably the same as the inside. For the brad, I did use one of the little, I think that's an open or cut lemon or a grapefruit or something. So that was in the paper collection. I just put my hole right in the center and my brad down through it, just like the way we just did the other booklet. So that's how I did that. And then on the end of the string, I added 2 of the little baby macaroons. How cute is that? I love it. So the decorative paper for this piece here measures 3 by 3 7/8. The decorative piece for the inside here measures 3 7/8 by 1 inch across. The back, I used a white cardstock there for photos, and that measures 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. So that's how this little booklet comes together. So you basically get the idea of what I'm doing here is I'm just creating little components to add our recipe cards, to add photos to, and you really can make them be whatever you want. So if you have some of your own designs, you know, add those too. I think that would be great. But I just wanted to show you a few of the ones that I came up with. The last thing I wanted to create was an accordion little booklet that you could put photos or recipes in. And I'm wanting to show you how I actually cut the page down. So I'm using this one from the 12 by 12 collection. The first thing I did was cut off the beautiful row of florals at the top. So I cut that out. Then I cut 2 strips that are 12 by 4 1/8. So you're going to need 2 of those. And then this was what was left over. So we're going to take these 2 pieces and we are going to score them at 4 inches each. So 4 and 8, 4 and 8. And because we're doing an accordion fold, if you want to turn them around and do 4 and 8 again, that will actually help, you know, your paper to fold more easily. Now when we cut off that top floral strip, and that was 1 1/4 inches wide by 12, we need part of this strip so that we can adhere our 2 pages together. So what I did was cut this down. So this is another scrap. So these are the only scraps from this one 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. And this final measurement is 4 1/8 by 1 1/4. And we're going to take this on the short end and we're going to score in half at 5/8. At least I think that's half. Didn't really check it. Oh yes, it is. About. I'm good with that. All right. So these pieces are all ready. Now on the first piece, I'm going to take and fold back. And I'm going to take this first piece and fold over to the right. So this is like the first part of our accordion booklet, right? We'll burnish this piece in half. So those are ready. And now, let's see. So we left off with this fold. So we're going to take this piece, we're going to fold back on the first one to the left, and we're going to fold over for the one on the right. And I think that should come out correct. No. Wait, yeah, that works. So that's what it will look like when it's all attached like that. But what we're going to do now is take this little strip, we're going to add adhesive to the inside and glue it on the back side of these 2 pieces to adhere them together. So I'm going to do one side at a time. We're going to take this piece, make sure that this is the one going to the left. We'll take this behind it, add it up to the score line, but not over. Make sure everything's straight on it, and then you can burnish that down. Now we add adhesive to this part of the hinge. We're going to take our second piece. Again, our opening is to the left, and we're going to add that onto the hinge, up to the score line, but not over. Make sure that these 2 pieces are lined up and straight. And then burnish that down. And then I would burnish all of them together. So now we have one long piece. Now I'm going to add a front and back cover to this, but it's just going to be the decorative paper. You're going to need two pieces that are 4 by 4 1/8, and they'll match perfectly. So the 4 1/8 is the height and 4 is the width. This will also make the first and last page stronger. Oh, I forgot. I was going to add some ribbon. I always do that. I always forget the ribbon. I guess we can put it on the back one, but how would the closure be? Oh, we could just put it on the back, bring it up and tie it in the front. But then it will take away from my decorations. So here's the decorations I'm using. I cut this piece down. It was larger and it had the scalloped edges, but I cut that down smaller. I'm just going to put that on the front along with this A Delicious Treat. And those are both in the paper collections. So that's the front. Now I just got to figure out the closure. We could put it around here in the middle, make it a little bit lower, and then tie the bow. That would be cute. Okay. Okay, I'm going to use some medium blue seam binding, and this is from Country Craft Creations. Okay, so we're going to have to add this and tie it on and everything before we add our back piece, because I want to get the placement right, and I also don't know how much I need. And I am terrible at bow making. So just bear with me. See, I'm thinking right around there would be a good spot. I am terrible at bow making, I'm telling ya. I don't understand what I do wrong. So I made that and go down and around. Okay. That's better than the last time. See, they always seem to be going in the wrong direction. I don't know how you guys do this. Okay. Goodness. But that gives me an idea on how much I need. So I'm going to go ahead and I have some of these. I'm going to use this. Okay. Oh, well, I guess that'll have to do. This is really quite loose, so there's still plenty of room to make it tighter. All right, now what I'm going to do, I guess I'm just going to use my liquid glue. Normally I would use adhesive tape and put it underneath the ribbon and then put the ribbon on top. But because I wanted it to be placed in a specific spot, I'm just going to use wet glue. I mean, we could put it up there, I guess. I like it more down here, I think. Yeah, okay. So I'm just putting some adhesive underneath the ribbon. There. Just to hold it in place. I'm pulling this part tight. I'd rather it be loose in the front. And then we can put on our back piece. Okay, now what we're going to do on the inside, I didn't want to leave this with the inside pattern showing. I wanted to put places for recipes or photos. So I cut out some white photo mats and I inked them all the way around, and I used chipped sapphire for this decorative page. I think it went really well with the blues. And what I'm going to do, so for each 12-inch strip, you're going to need 2 pieces that measure 2.5 by 3 7/8. We're putting those here. And then in the center, you're going to need 1 piece that measures 3 3/4 by 3 7/8. And that will go here. So then you'll have some nice areas to put photos. You can even journal here if you wanted to. And then on the back side, if someone wants to add a recipe, a photo, or journaling, whatever, then they have room to add that here. But I did want to give them some ideas of what you could do here with adding the white photo mat. Another thing I thought of was to use my Dress My Craft slotted punch. I'm really loving this thing. And so I punched holes in that, and I think I'm going to do that on the larger one. For the small one, I don't think I'm going to add the slots. I was at first, but now I don't think so, because you could journal here, add your photo or recipe, and then if you had a little photo, you could add there. You could even add 2 on here if you wanted. It all depends on how you mix it up. But I think I'm just going to do that on the big ones. But here again, you could use photo corners, and that would look good as well. So that's what it will look like once we have it all glued down, and I'm going to do that off screen. So in total, you'll need 4 of these smaller sizes, 2.5 by 3 7/8, and then 2 larger 3 3/4 by 3 7/8. So just glue those down, and then you could fold it all up and tie your bow again. So that's the end of the tutorial. I really just wanted to show you how to create the pieces that I made for inside of the box. You will have seen the full reveal at this point, and you'll know how I decorated the box using the paper collection. But in total, I did create 6 file folders, and I didn't show those 2 because, you know, it's basically the same thing that I've been doing. That one, and this is the one that I didn't show creating, okay? So basically the same. And then the way that I stacked everything was I put 1 file folder, and then behind that I put one of the specialty makes. Let's just say it's the one with, these are the specialty makes are the ones without the file folder tab. So this was a dimensional pocket, and then I made this file folder, and then I put my little policy envelope file folder, and then I put my diagonal pocket file folder. I added this one, little booklet that pull out booklet, file folder. We have our little booklet here, file folder, and then we're going to have our little accordion booklet. So you can make all kinds and as many of these as you want to go inside your box. So I hope you have enjoyed this project share and tutorial. If you create one, please tag me. I would love to see it. And thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All right, I'll see you next time.